The first art style I'm talking about is stylization. This is where objects ain't strictly accurate and doesn't have to be realistic. It's impacted the gaming industry because it gives creators more like freedom in the way they work, and this is because it emphasizes color, shape, and form. So it's more popularized in action adventure because you can build a fantasy world. Technology advancements has helped the stylized art style develop because you can use more polygons, render your 3D objects better, and have improvements on your computer's GPU. There's also new software like Photoshop that give you more paintbrush options and different tools to develop your art. Type of stylized art games are Overwatch, Crash Bandicoot, and Ratchet and Clank. The thing these games have in common is the world is built in a fantasy theme. Cell shading is a rendering technique often used in animation. This uses computers to replicate appearance of hand-drawn images, rendering 3D objects to make them appear more 2D or cartoon-like, particularly seen in Japanese-style animation. Cell shading has impacted the gaming industry because it is a cost-effective method that helps capture motion and lighting. This helps indie companies compete with AAA companies with less of a budget. Type of cel-shaded games are Borderlands, The Legend of Zelda, and The Wolf Among Us. These games are all fantasy, and you typically see the conventional black outline when seeing games from this art style. Vector art is made up of vector graphics. This art style is made up with mathematical formulas that are made up with points, curves, and shapes. Vector art has impacted the gaming industry as it allows smaller companies to make art with less of a big budget, as the file size is small, because when you scale these images, it doesn't lose resolution. The effects vector art has on games is the mathematical point allows for precision in what you are making, with the advantages of being easy to load, edit, and duplicate. When picking an art style, companies will favor using vector art because of the small file size, which means less storage and making it more cost effective. Type of vector art games are Vector, Asteroids, and Another World. The things these games have in common are they have low details and a low budget. Isometric art is a method used for visually representing three-dimensional drawings and two-dimensional and technical and engineering drawings. In games, you typically see this at a 30 degrees angle from a top-down perspective. This is helpful in the past when graphics were less advanced, where you don't have to calculate equations. This was used mainly when making 8-bit and 16-bit games. Isometric art heavily impacts the visuals of the game, as it is created from a 30 degrees angle, so the human eye perceives it from further away, so objects appear smaller. This allows for games designers to show more information than a 2D game. Isometric art is popular among indie and strategic games, since the objects don't show any perspective distortion under a parallel projection that makes it easier on the GPU to process games quickly. Type of isometric art games are Age of Empire, Fallout 1 and 2, and League of Legends. The conventional look for these games are top angle and not the most detail in the graphics. Fallout 3 and 4 switch to a first person shooter, so they don't fit this type of game. Low poly games are games that have a low number of polygons. Polygons are used in graphics to compose images that are three-dimensional in appearance, but because of the low poly, little detail compared to something with high poly, making it popular with indie companies. The low polys makes it easy for the GPU processing power and the RAM storage, so it doesn't need to be high, making it a cost-effective method of making games. Low poly games have impacted the gaming industry as you can create environments with little visual and noise, but this means that you have to sit on the line of too much and too little detail. Despite low poly games being low in budget, there's a trend right now where game developers are making low poly games. This is because they're good opening games to introduce yourself to the gaming industry. Type of low poly games are Hotshot Racing, Human Fall Flat, and Super QE4. The conventional look for these games are platform games and low detail on characters and graphics. A concept artist creates a visual representation of an idea from a client before it's put into the final stages to be animated. A concept artist is very important when working on a project because they help convey the look, feel, and mood of the idea. The concept artist collaborates with directors, product designers, and others to create the version of the film or TV production. They must produce concept illustrations of key sets, characters, and environments that help communicate and show the ideas of the director. Shigeru Miyamoto was one of the first influential games designers. At Nintendo, he helped create the non-first original coin-operated arcade game. His first arcade hit, Donkey Kong, was highly influential pioneer for the platform game genre. It was the first arcade game to introduce a storyline dynamic characters. Before that, most arcade games were very simple, but after Donkey Kong, you saw more games with a mix of running, jumping, and vertical climbing. Ralph McQuarrie was a